Happy to be here. How's that?
Yeah.
My name's Kapil. I went to Queen Mary and then I worked for a company called giffgaff. I went on to work for an advertising agency called Amobi. Amobi then sent me to Singapore, and when I was in Singapore I worked for LinkedIn. LinkedIn brought me to New York, where I spent a few years with them, and then I worked for Spotify in New York, spent 4 years with them, and now I've been at Reddit for the last year. I did a few just usual, I did English, psychology and business studies at school, and I felt growing up in a house full of business people that I should follow that route. I just wasn't sure which area of vocation I should go in, so I thought business management would be a good way for me to explore and learn at the same time. And yeah, I started looking into where I should go, and Queen Mary had the most respectable business management university that was thoughtfully accepting of my grades at the time, and I knew it wouldn't be a place I would settle, but a place that I could grow and be able to still succeed. Originally planned to go outside of London, so I think that was the biggest change for me, was I was going to be staying in London where I was from. And so preparing for that, the mindset was, how do I still live out of home, have that first experience of leaving, but stay in London? What would that life look like for me, where I'm out but still in? And it was just about packing and mentally settling in that I would spend more time here. So I found some really good off-campus halls, because again, it was really important to me that university was about the education and about the experience of living away and investing my time here. So I found some off-halls accommodation and ended up in a really great little student flat. So I don't know if I thought of it with this much depth, but looking back on it, how do we create home? How do we create safety? How do we create a sense of belonging? How do we create community? How do we create silly, joy? And how do we welcome each other? Creating all of that whilst trying to learn how to study and grow up a little bit. A lot of fear. And it was, I look back on it as healthy fear. It was excited fear. It was a lot of faces, a lot of new energy, and I just put myself out there. I was like, I'm going to go to all of the student tables where you learn about the societies, and I'm going to go to Draper's, which is the student union bar. I'm going to grab, coffees with everyone. I'm gonna, just keep introducing myself. My first year, I took all the pamphlets, but I honestly just felt that I wanted to just keep it simple and just focus. I felt like it was a lot already, and I wasn't sure how to add, and I think you can, but for me, it felt more meaningful to just focus on settling in. That was the society I was doing, the settling into university. A couple of key moments that stand out really close to my heart were, number one, I had a tutor called Dr. Alvaro Angueras. He just wanted to be with the students. He was so invested in us. He was so thoughtful, so witty, but he was integral because he saw me. He chose to make time for me. And when I wasn't sure what module and what route I wanted to take, Alvaro sat down with me and said, look, you've performed very well in marketing and advertising, and you seem to be alive there. And I think that was a key aha moment for me. It was alive, what's giving me energy. It was giving me life professionally. And I'd not had that experience before, having never studied like this or worked, in the field. And that still sits with me, the feeling of what makes you alive. And he really helped guide me to go and pursue a career in marketing and advertising. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he was really, a big part of my time here. I did a module called Innovation in Entrepreneurship, which is awesome. And we created a little business that still to this day has not been created. And I believe it could take off, so maybe this is the end of the interview for me. It was a wonderful business idea, and that gave us a lot of creativity and flexibility. And I think in education, it can feel very linear, whereas that module and actually it made me realize you could kind of design things the way that you really want if you look at them in different ways. We designed it as a group. We were able to then pitch it to our tutors We were marked on it. It was the highest mark that I'd gotten. So, you know, I think between innovation, entrepreneurship, marketing and advertising, it kind of blends how I do my career anyway. Yeah, so then I graduated, and it's interesting because you've kind of gone through these 3 years and you feel like you conquered it, you know? You're like, oh, I'm at the top of this university thing. And I was like, well, what now? And I felt like the bottom of the food chain. You know, I'm in this big, crazy world and I have my degree, great. And so I did a ton of applications to very traditional companies and I didn't get anywhere. And I think I had a lot of anxieties coming my way. People were like, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and right place, right timing, and have you gone to this fair, and have you, I don't know, emailed this person, and I never felt like I was doing enough, because I felt like I just wanted to get somewhere and I didn't know all the steps. But I was applying to them and it was, I felt very drained by all my applications, and that felt really scary. And friends around me were getting jobs and I'm like, oh man, like there's something wrong with me maybe. What did I, you know, have I not done enough? Am I not good enough? And then it was kind of just try everything. And I think that's a big thing, is you've got to keep pivoting and seeing what bites back. And in the end, the route that I ended up taking was just sending cold messages, outreach, CVs to companies that had not advertised. And so I was emailing heads of marketing departments to say, I will do pretty much anything for you that will give me exposure to your department. Data entry, listening, taking notes. I just want to learn, and I'll sacrifice the salary because I believed that the currency I was getting was learning, and that would be greater than the salary at the time. Email back was underwhelming. So it was for GiftGaff, which is a small mobile phone network here, and at the time had blown up. Where it was underwhelming was because I had family members who were like, you're going to take 3 buses to do an unpaid internship an hour and a half from our house in a small village. It was underwhelming because I thought they would be excited, and I think I was very excited. And then we found the balance of like, no, this is a good thing. It's good that I'm getting exposure, and that's the goal. Yeah, getting there on day one was a really sweet feeling. I'd never really been in an office environment, and it was very, very special to go there, and that team were incredible to me. Yeah, I sat in on every meeting, and the CEO would sit there and the CMO, and just listening to all of them. No headphones on, just being very present. I was given very easy tasks at the beginning, and then as they went on, more harder by my standards. And it just felt like I was welcomed. Yeah, they were really thoughtful to me. So I realized Alvaro was right. I did well in marketing. This was a marketing internship. I liked the teams that I'd met. And I thought, okay, well, how am I going to, you know, how do I keep going with this? So I learned more about the marketing ecosystem. Right, there's marketing departments at client side, so brand side, like a Coca-Cola marketing team. There's marketing consultancies, so they're focused a little bit more on boutique work. And then in between was like marketing agencies, right? And so the agencies where I learned that I would get the most exposure, because the agencies sit between the brands and between everywhere they buy marketing from. So working at an agency, if you're servicing a Coca-Cola, you're going to be buying advertising from the Daily Mail, from the Times. So you'll learn all about how they're operating while it's just sitting in the middle of everything. So I thought that would be the place I would go. We landed an interview at a company called Amobi. At the time, they were a mobile marketing agency. So we used to sell banner ads on old Nokia phones. At the time, mobile marketing, it sounds obvious now. At the time, it was not a thing. It was text message marketing. And then these Nokia ads were coming out, and you know, the iPhone I don't think was out at that point, or at least it's not what it was today. I knew that there was something there. I was like, I could go into traditional advertising, like print on newspapers, or I can go where I feel like I have a bit of a connection, which is mobile. I'd learnt about mobile consumers, ecosystems, and I had a passion and some marketing experience, and I wanted to bring it all together. And this sounds very obvious, it wasn't. It took a lot of pivoting and fear and wrong applications and conversations, and that was still at the end, 9 months after graduating, was that job at Amobi. So when I was at Amobi, I was with them for, I think maybe like a year and a half, and they were acquired by a Singaporean company called Singtel, who are like the Telefonica of Asia. They had a need for people to go out there really quickly and help start the office out there after the acquisition. So my boss at the time asked me if I would like to be one of the people to move to Singapore, and he gave me 8 days notice. You know, if it all goes wrong, what's the worst that could happen? Go home. So I went out to Amobi in Singapore. It was me, the CEO, the COO, and 3 of us junior folks. And it was amazing sitting next to like the CEO and learning from him. And you know, they'd been acquired for hundreds of millions, and I'm just sat next to this guy who's willing to teach me. A year with Amobi out there, and when I was there, LinkedIn approached me. And at the time, LinkedIn was building their presence in Asia. They were primarily a job platform, and they were building a team that would be more focused on working with advertisers. And that would be advertising for brand initiatives, like a new product or a service, or for recruitment initiatives. So to get more people through the door, to make a brand look good to be employed by. And when I was at LinkedIn, that was really, really meaningful to me. You know, they were at this hyper-growth stage. They're amazing now, and they still were amazing then, but they were newer in Asia. And an American company trying to get into Asia, you know, you've got to be very, very thoughtful. And so we had to be very thoughtful in how we worked there. So I was at LinkedIn in Asia for about 3 years. And when I was there, things went really well. I worked on some really key accounts, Microsoft, Dell, IBM, just helping work on partnerships there. My exposure to Asia was incredible. You know, we were doing deals in Indonesia, and Malaysia, and Korea, and China, and Hong Kong, and the cultural diversity that I got was exactly what I'd been missing from here. And I got a version of it in Asia. And things went really well, and they offered me a double promotion and the opportunity to move to one of 3 offices, Sydney, Hong Kong, or New York, and I ended up choosing New York. I was with them for a further couple years there, and I would say my first year went really badly. It was really difficult. I found the cultural move hard. I found the pace of work very difficult. I found the dream I'd hyped wasn't delivering. I wasn't delivering. And I felt like I'd been climbing so well, and I could tell such a nice story about that, and it was crashing, and it wasn't working. And it was really difficult. And in the end, I ended up meeting some really great mentors, which I think is really important. The concept that you build confidants around you who help you in certain parts of where you want to develop in your career. So whether that's being a graduate, or whether you want to move country, or whether you want to leave sales and get into marketing, your personal board of directors you would go to like you would in a company for their specialist area to help you. And I learned that very early in my career, and I rang my old CEO from Amobi to say, I need some help. And he gave me some really helpful advice. He reminded me that you could have multiple homes, and that this was a longer journey, and that it's not about this first year, it will not define you, but you do need to get your head down, and you need to listen a lot. And that really, between him and my boss at work, they really gave me some mentorship and guidance to find my confidence again. And yeah, things ended up going really well at LinkedIn. I won a company award for transforming the way that we went to sales, which was given to me in front of 8,000 people. Yeah, it was amazing. And then Spotify approached me. I felt very, very honored. And yeah, I got to work at Spotify for a few years. And yeah, I worked on one of our largest, most strategic partnerships there, which meant I got lots of bells and whistles, people to help me. And yeah, I worked on the Dunkin' partnership. Dunkin' is huge for America. It's one of the largest known coffee brands, and the portfolio company that owned them was called Inspire. And with Spotify, Inspire, Dunkin', there was just so much creativity. Music, you know, has such a big voice in culture and can lead the way, and Spotify is a pioneer of that. And I just was able to project manage creative people, people to build us trends and insights, work with an account management team to put ads on the internet, work with my bosses to build closer partnerships. And in the end, I ended up bridging the first partnership between Spotify and Dunkin' at the Grammys. Best New Artist is a Grammys Awards, and Spotify hosts the party to go to in LA, and it was really incredible. Things went really well at Spotify and kind of got to a point where I felt very satisfied with the work that I'd done there. I felt like maybe it was time for someone new. Reddit approached me, and it was just perfect timing. And I think I make it sound quite simple because I've been approached every time, but that's my network knew me, and I had told them what I was interested in, and I'd shown them, and they'd seen me low, and they'd helped me get back up, and that vulnerability had built real relationships. And those real relationships, yes, it's who you know, but it's how you know them, and what they know about you, and what you can choose to do together, and what they want for you, and what you ask, and what you screw up and say sorry for, and how you learn. All of that was every one of these moves. So when Reddit approached me, it wasn't a surprise because people there knew what I wanted. I'm at Reddit now. I manage 2 of our largest beauty partnerships, which means that I manage the relationship between those 2 brands and Reddit. So whenever they want to release new makeup, skincare, fragrances, hair care, that will be with myself and the team that I get to project manage. So that's my Reddit journey. Yes, I did do a dissertation. I can't remember the topic, but it obviously worked because I got the degree. God, you have to sign an NDA to do that. What do you think as a student? Was that helpful?